And welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Old School October kicks off with my review of Old School Essentials Adventure Anthology Volume 1 from Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral. This is written by Giuseppe Rotondo, Glyn Seal, Brad Kerr, DM Wilson, and Sarah Brunt, with artwork provided by Mark Lyons, Chris Malik, Peter Pagano, and Stefan Poig. The 64-page A5 sized hardcover is available now, carries an MSRP of $20 with PDF over at Exalted Funeral. Or if you want to pick up just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $10. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Adventure Anthology Volume 1 for Old School Essentials. A few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Exalted Funeral were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside this adventure anthology. Then lastly, I just mentioned this is an adventure anthology. So it contains 4 adventures. If you're a player, I definitely recommend tune out now because maybe your game master has already picked this up, or maybe they're talking about picking this up. Even though I'm going to stay away from major spoilers, there will be some spoilers. And then, of course, as I flip through the book, probably see some things which would ruin some of the surprises of the adventures. So once again, as a player, I recommend just tune out now. Of course, if your game master is considering picking this up, let them know about this video so that they can approach this and make a far more informed buying decision. All right, let's jump on in. So the first thing, I really like how we've got the maps right here for our 4 adventures. So we've got our first 2 and then our last 2. Very convenient for us. Let's take a look at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. There are 4 adventures contained once again, and we have the Jeweler's Sanctum. We also have Curse of the Maggot God, the Sunbathers, and the Comet That Time Forgot. So we've got a nice mix of adventures. We've got a variety of character levels as well. So we can run from 1st level up to 9th level. So there is a nice mix contained within this anthology. Now, this first adventure I like a lot. It is the Jeweler's Sanctum, and the player characters have been hired by the son of this magical jeweler to go and clear out their laboratory. And the son can't afford to pay them anything, but informs the player characters that anything they find of value in this laboratory is theirs to keep. And thankfully, there are a lot of goodies inside this laboratory. I like the fact that we've got a lot of interactivity with the various different areas. We've got a nice mix of NPCs and creatures. Everything isn't just combat. It isn't, oh, combat in this area and then go to the next area. And oh, look, there's more combat. This is a great adventure to introduce players to the OSR. It really, really is. It pretty much covers all the bases, and it's just a short dungeon delve. I especially like the giant singing spider, which is the hairy guardian of the laboratory. All in all, this is a fun adventure with a good amount of goodies that the player characters can emerge from the laboratory with. Next up, we've got Curse of the Maggot God, and this is another fun adventure. A pretty short, small dungeon area here. As you can see, there are 19 keyed areas, but there's a good amount going on in this adventure. It's kind of gross because the big bad is going to be this 10-foot tall 50-foot long maggot that the player characters will end up doing battle with. And there are maggots throughout this adventure. So kind of gross there a little bit. We've got some troglodytes, which are worshiping this maggot, as well as this oddball kind of cleric character who I could see having fun role playing as the game master. So, all in all, this is another interesting adventure. Now, the third adventure, The Sunbathers, I just think is all right. The premise is fine. The player characters find themselves on this island, which is almost like a sanitarium where people are being treated and being healed. And it turns out the exact opposite is actually going on, that patients are actually being sapped of their intelligence. And if they continue, they'll eventually have no personality whatsoever. And they're almost like blank slates. And that brings on death. There are a few other twists to that, not just that they automatically just die. There's some other kind of gross things going on with them. As far as the adventure itself, it's fine. It's not a standout, in my opinion. And I think part of the reason for that is because there's not a lot of variety to the opponents that the player characters will face. So I think that's kind of a drawback, that there's really only three sorts of opponents that the player characters are going to tackle, plus an NPC, kind of a big bad NPC. So, I mean, once again, I think the adventure is fine, just doesn't really stand out as written. The final adventure, The Comet That Time Forgot, is pretty interesting. I like the premise of it. Essentially, the player characters find themselves transported to this comet, which is hurtling through space, but the comet actually has life on it. So there is flora and fauna. There are different regions. We have various different factions who are allied with other factions and then opposed to other factions. So we've got a variety of different denizens on this comet, and like it quite a bit. This is a good sized hex crawl. Only problem I've got is that I personally think that the Comet That Time Forgot would have been best served if this was a standalone adventure on its own and fleshed out to maybe 40 or 50 pages. Because we do have some areas that have some detail to them. We don't have maps for anything outside of course, the hex map and then the final locale. So the game master is going to find that they're going to have to create a lot of things either, ahead of time or on the fly. See, this is the last encounter here with the fire giants. I mean, it's okay as is, but like I said, if this had been fleshed out to 40 or 50 pages with maps, I think this would be a really nice standalone adventure that's kind of got a prehistoric feel to it. So, like I said, the adventure itself is fine. It just could be a lot better, in my opinion. All right, so that wraps up a look inside Adventure Anthology Volume 1 for Old School Essentials. Let's swing on over to the other camera so I can share some final thoughts and give this a review score. So I really like the first two adventures to the anthology. I think they're really well done. The third adventure is okay, as is the fourth adventure, although I will say I think the fourth adventure would be far better served if it had been expanded upon and it was its own adventure, not part of the anthology. But all in all, solid throughout. As far as the production quality, really nicely done. The paper stock is nice and thick. I like the artwork throughout. It's just black and white line art, but it's got that old school vibe that I dig and brings on that feeling and nostalgia that I like. So I do certainly recommend Old School Essentials Adventure Anthology Volume 1. I especially like the first two adventures the most, but All in all, I do like this. I do recommend it. So, on a scale of 0 to 10, I give this a 7.5 out of 10. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it'll not only let you know when I share videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thanks very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And of course, I will be back with loads of old school October coverage. And until I see you next, I certainly hope all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.